When I first started making dolls, I had a picture in my head of how I wanted them to look, but they never seemed to come out that way. They were lumpy, uneven, they didn't hold the shape, and they seemed to come out in all sorts of odd shapes and sizes. Some of them were tall and narrow, some of them were short and wide, and I couldn't figure out where I was going wrong. I discovered that it's all in the stuffing. So today I want to share with you some tips to help you get your dolls right first time. First step to getting stuffing right is choosing the right fabric. 100% cotton woven fabric is always a good start. You need a fabric that's got a bit of stretch in it, but not too much, and you need a high thread count. I found some really nice cotton sheeting, which works well for me, but a good quality quilting cotton is always going to be a good start if you're not sure what you're looking for. This one is Moda Solids. I use this for darker skin dolls because they have some really nice skin tones. You will usually find that fabric stretches a little bit one way but not the other. So when you're starting with new fabric, you always need to check which way it stretches and then line up all your pieces onto the fabric in the same direction. Never swap and change, never lay pieces horizontally and then vertically. If you're going to do them along the stretch, then always do them along the stretch. That way you know that they're always going to be the same shape. When you're setting up your sewing machine, you need to make sure you keep your stitches as small as you can. This will help prevent the seams bursting and fraying as you're stuffing later. It can be a good idea to double stitch the seams as well, so you're getting a stronger seam that's less likely to burst. When you've cut the pieces out, then it's a good idea to go around the seams with pinking shears. That's these scissors with a zigzag edge. That helps prevent the seams getting all bunched up inside, and that'll help prevent puckering later when you stuff it. If you find the fabric you use frays a little bit and pulls apart as you're stuffing, you can use some fabric glue or an acid-free PVA. If you dab a little bit of glue along the seam on the inside before you turn it, then it can help it to hold together easier and give you a neater finish. Lots of people use polyester fibre as stuffing material. I've had varied results with polyester. If you find a good quality polyester stuffing material, it can turn out really nice, but as I say, it can be variable and some of them can turn out quite lumpy. The nice thing with polyester is it does have quite a good spring to it, so it can be easier if you're just starting out. The other advantage with polyester is that it's quite cheap to buy, so if you're not making dolls full time, if you're just getting started and you're not sure what the result's going to be like, then polyester can be a good choice. I like to use K-pop fibre for my dolls. K-pop is water repellent, so it doesn't go mouldy. It's resistant to pests and it packs together really tightly inside the doll, so it gives a nice firm shape. The downside of using K-pop is that it can be dusty. It is hypoallergenic, but if you do have any problems with asthma or allergies, it can be a good idea to wear a dust mask so you're not breathing in the fibres. Another issue with K-pop is that because it's a natural product, it can still contain some little bits of leaf and seed pod, which can affect the colour of it. These show up as dark flecks, which can be a bit of a nuisance if you're working with pale coloured fabric. They can sometimes show through and they can stain the fabric. So I tend to pick these out as I'm working so I don't get left with dark areas under the skin of the doll. I use various tools to stuff the doll. Mostly I use my hemostats. These are really nice to control the stuffing and to get it into the parts of the doll that I want. I also use a bodkin. I like this hemline ballpoint bodkin. It has like a rounded tip at one end and it has a flat loop at the other end, and this is handy for getting into all sorts of awkward little shapes. I've used cocktail sticks, I've used bamboo skewers, and I've used chopsticks. Whatever you've got lying around can be used as a stuffing tool. Try to insert the stuffing in a continuous stream rather than in little lumps. Check for lumps as you go and keep evening it out. I like to think of stuffing as sculpting a doll from the inside, so you're constantly checking its shape and squeezing it into the right shape as you go along. You'll need to keep pushing the stuffing out towards the edges and into the corners. Keep trying to flatten the stuffing against the part of the doll that's going to show. So if you're doing the head, you need to keep pushing it towards the face. It can help if you hold the face against a flat surface and then push the stuffing against that. Then keep pushing more stuffing in behind it. You're going to need to put a lot more stuffing into it than you think. Don't hold back, just really pack the stuffing in tightly as you can. A doll maker once told me when I started, you need to put way more stuffing in than you think you're going to need, and then when you think you can't stuff it anymore, push even more in. This way you're going to get a really nice firm finish which will hold its shape for a long time. Sometimes whatever you do, you are going to get some small lumps on the surface. What I like to do with these is to use a fine needle just through the surface of the fabric and try and just push it through and try and even out those lumps. This can sometimes be enough just to level it out. You need to be really careful. Use a fine needle so you're not making a hole in the fabric. Sometimes you are going to get some lumps and you can hide these using the doll's hair or clothing. As long as you get flat surface on the important parts like the front of the neck and the head and the hands, the parts of the doll that are going to be shown. Once you're happy with the shape and you've got no soft areas, close up the seam using ladder stitch. It's a good idea to use a strong upholstery thread to close the seams. I really like Gutermann top stitch thread for this. Overall, just keep practicing. It's going to take quite a few attempts before you get a shape that you're really happy with. Experiment with different fabrics. You might find one brand that you just don't get on with. A lot of people recommended Kona cotton to me when I started, but I just couldn't get on with it. So I switched to Moda, and then I found an unbranded one which worked well for me. So just keep trying different brands and you will find one that you like that works for you. If you found today's video helpful, please consider subscribing, as I'm going to be making loads more videos like this and it helps the channel loads. I'll put some links in the description to some of the products that I use that you might find helpful. Do let me know in the comments what parts of the doll making process you'd like more help with, and I'll work that into future videos. I hope I've inspired you to have a go at making your own doll. I'll see you next time. Bye!